the girl who borrowed time. The first thing Liana felt when she opened her eyes was confusion. The second was pain. She wasn't supposed to feel either. The last thing she remembered was the rain, cold and heavy, as her carriage overturned on the cobblestones. Her brother's scream had been the last sound she heard before darkness swallowed her whole. And now, "Miss, you can't lie there, you'll get run over." Liana blinked against glaring lights, her heart hammering. She was on a hard gray road, her once elegant silk gown gone, replaced by a rumpled white shirt and trousers that clung scandalously to her legs. A young woman leaned over her, holding a strange, glowing rectangle. "Are you drunk?" the stranger asked, hauling her upright. "You look like you escaped a costume drama." "Costume drama," Liana echoed faintly. It was only the beginning of the strangest day of her life. The year, she learned, was 2025, 200 years after the night she died. People rode in metal beasts called cars, light poured from bulbs instead of candles, and everyone stared at glowing rectangles as if they were enchanted mirrors. Liana Vale, once the daughter of a noble house, was apparently reborn in this world with the same name, and the body of a 24-year-old intern at something called Asterian Holdings. She didn't know who, or what, had given her this second chance, but she decided one thing. If fate had sent her here, she would live properly this time. Her first week at Asterian was a disaster. She tripped over wires, called a printer, the box that spits paper, and nearly fainted when someone asked her to email a file. But her real downfall came in the form of a very tall man and one very unfortunate coffee spill. The elevator doors opened, and Liana, in a rush, collided with a solid chest. Her coffee went flying, straight onto an immaculate black suit. "Oh no," she gasped, mortified. "You're your clothes." The man looked down, expression cool and composed, before his gaze lifted to meet hers. He was unfairly handsome, sharp jawline, dark hair, eyes like a storm contained behind glass. "Next time," he said calmly, "walk with your eyes open." Liana, already flustered, blurted out, "Next time, stand where people don't walk." The air froze. Then, to her utter shock, he laughed. "You're new," he said, "and bold." "Am I fired?" she asked. "Not yet." His lips curved faintly. "I'm Damian Cole, your boss." Her stomach dropped. Perfect, she insulted the CEO. A war of words. Working for Damian Cole was like dancing with lightning, thrilling, dangerous, and likely to end in disaster. He was brilliant, demanding, and impossibly composed, but he had a maddening habit of testing her. "Miss Vale," he said one morning, leaning over her desk, "is it possible to get those reports before lunch?" "It's possible," she said sweetly, "but unlikely if you keep interrupting me." He chuckled. "You're brave for someone who still hasn't figured out the copier. You're smug for someone who can't make his own coffee." They both smiled, and for a fleeting second, the tension between them turned warm, almost intimate. That terrified her more than anything. The portrait. One evening, long after most employees had left, Liana went to drop off a report in Damian's office. The lights were low, the skyline glowing behind the glass walls. Then she saw it, a painting hanging above the bookshelf. A woman in a deep green gown, smiling faintly. Her heart stopped. It was her. The brushstrokes, the eyes, the tilt of the lips. It was the same portrait that once hung in her family's parlor. Damian looked up from his laptop. "You know her." Where did you get this?" "It's a family heirloom," he said. "My great-great-grandfather commissioned it. The woman was supposedly lost in an accident around 1825. "That's me," she whispered. He blinked. "Come again." She looked at him, trembling. "I remember that night, the rain, the carriage." For a long moment, Damian said nothing. Then, quietly, "You realize how insane that sounds?" "I do." He stood, walked around his desk, and studied her face as if he could read her past there. "And yet," he smiled faintly, "you look exactly like her." Coffee, memories, and other dangerous things. After that night, things changed. Damian began to linger by her desk more often. He'd ask, half teasing, "So, Miss Reincarnated Noblewoman, what do you think of the 21st century?" "It's loud," she'd say, "and everyone walks too fast." He'd smirk, "Maybe you're just slow. Maybe you talk too much." Their banter became its own language, light and sharp, and threaded with something they didn't dare name. But sometimes she caught him watching her with an expression that wasn't teasing at all, something deeper, familiar, as though he, too, felt a thread tugging them together across time. It rained one Friday, the same cold smell of earth and sky that haunted her dreams. Liana stood by the lobby windows, watching the drops race each other down the glass. She felt that ache again, the sense that she was living on borrowed time. "You look like you're about to cry," Damian said behind her. "I hate rain," she murmured. "It feels like goodbye." He was silent for a moment, then took her hand, just that simple gesture, warm and grounding. "You're not saying goodbye," he said softly. "Not this time." She looked up at him. "Why do you care?" His smile was crooked, vulnerable. "Because somehow, when I look at you, I feel like I've already lost you once." Her heart fluttered like wings. "Then maybe this time," she whispered, "don't let go." A week later, Asterion Holdings was hit with a scandal. A rival company accused Damian of fraud, and the media devoured the story. He stayed calm, but she saw the exhaustion behind his eyes. "Go home," he said one evening when she refused to leave. "No." "Liana," his tone softened, "this could ruin me." "Then let me help you fix it." He hesitated, then sighed. "There's proof I'm innocent, but it's locked in a private archive the board refuses to open." "Then we'll find another way," she said firmly. "I didn't survive 2 centuries to let you get destroyed by a file cabinet." That earned her a startled laugh. "You really are something else." "I'm efficient," she corrected and smiled. They worked side by side late into the night, surrounded by screens and coffee cups. The office lights painted silver halos in Damian's dark hair. When she leaned over his shoulder to point at a document, he turned, and their faces were suddenly inches apart. She froze. "You're starring." "You're distracting." "Is that a complaint?" "It's a confession." Her heart skipped. "Damian." Before she could finish, he kissed her, softly, carefully, as if afraid she'd vanish again. When they finally broke apart, she whispered, "That was necessary," he murmured with a smirk. She rolled her eyes. "You're impossible." "And you're unforgettable." 2 days later, they found the evidence that cleared Damian's name. The rival firm's CEO was exposed, and the board apologized in their usual polite, useless way. When the chaos settled, Damian found Liana standing on the rooftop, wind in her hair, the city glittering below. "Everything's back to normal," she said. "Except us." She smiled faintly. "Except us." He stepped closer. "Tell me something, Liana. If you could go back, would you?" She thought of the rain, the carriage, the fear, and then of his smile, his laugh, his hand in hers. "No," she said softly, "because I'd miss you." Damian brushed a strand of hair from her face, his voice low. "Good, because I'm not letting you go, not in this life." But fate wasn't untesting her. A week later, she woke from a dream filled with whispers. "Your time is borrowed. It's time to return." Panic clawed through her. She rushed to Damian's office, breathless. "What if I disappear?" she blurted out. He froze. "What?" "I don't know why I'm here," she said, trembling. "What if I have to go back?" He crossed the room in 2 strides and cupped her face in his hands. "Then I'll find you, again, however long it takes." Her vision blurred with tears. "You'd wait 200 years." "I already did." She laughed through her tears, leaning into him. "Then I suppose I'd better stay this time." "Good," he murmured, kissing her forehead, "because I wasn't planning on letting you leave." The next morning, Liana woke not in the past, but in his arms. Sunlight poured through the curtains, warm and real. Damian stirred beside her, his voice husky with sleep. "Morning." "You didn't vanish." she teased softly. Neither did you, he smiled against her hair. Guess time finally decided to be kind. She laughed, curling closer. Or maybe it realized we belonged here. Together, he finished. Together. Months later, they visited his family's old estate, where the portrait still hung. Liana gazed up at her painted self, the woman from another century. She looks happy now, she murmured. She does, Damian said, wrapping an arm around her waist. Maybe because her story finally got its ending. Liana smiled, leaning into him. What kind of ending is that? The kind, he said softly, that never ends. Outside, rain began to fall, gentle and bright against the windows. But this time, she didn't fear it. This time, she had someone to stand beside her in every storm, past, present, and whatever future awaited.